Back on BVarsity Live, quick update from Section Cross Country. We mentioned to you Julian Irigoyen won the D2 boys title. Second place in that race was Robert Sagasta of Liberty. It's going to be an interesting race to see who is our boys runner of the year. I think girls runner of the year, Dee Salcido of McFarland is running away with that title. Although
No doubt.
Cagney Duncan of Liberty's had a terrific year too. She won a section title. Dee Salcido, I believe, running at 3 o'clock. So she's coming up soon in the D2 girls championship, which is, I believe, the last race of the day. Okay, we are rolling through quarterfinal picks. We both took Kennedy over Strathmore in D6. Now D5 is where we're at. Kern Valley at Woodlake. This, incidentally, the only area where Trevor and I differ on any of the games this week. I took Woodlake 24-20. He took Kern Valley 21-20. Break a tie for us.
I'll go Kern Valley.
Kern Valley's won 6 games in a row, and they've looked pretty good doing it. One thing I haven't seen from them yet this year is a really good performance against a good team on the road, and that's why I like Woodlake. But we'll see what happens. And Kern Valley, would like to make up for last year when they lost as the number 1 seed in the quarterfinals. Yep. By the way, this is the last year HDL teams have to travel in the first round of the playoffs, which is kind of a silly rule to begin with. And this is the last school year that rule exists, that even as the higher seed, they cannot host playoff games unless it's against each other.
No one wants to travel there.
Well, it's true, but if you're going to welcome into the section, you're welcoming that part of it too, right?
Right.
I get, I don't want to be on a bus to Bishop either, but don't let them in the section if you don't want to. Okay, Division 4. I really love this Division 4 bracket, by the way. This is the only game of the Kern County team. Exeter is a really good number 7 seed.
Yeah, it's dangerous. That's a dangerous game for Chavez.
It really is. I took Chavez 31-14, and Trevor has them big 42-13. I don't think Trevor understands how good Exeter is. I just like Chavez because when they have played their biggest games this year, they've been at their best. So I think the Titans survive here, but the Monarchs, I'm telling you right now, that is no pushover as a 7 seed.
Tough game. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Exeter knock them out, but I'll go Chavez.
I think the number 7 seed in D4 honestly could be a better team than the number 7 seed in Division 2. As crazy as that sounds, El Diamante. Exeter is really, really good. And elsewhere in D4, you've got Madera South against Chowchilla in a 4-5 game. Are you kidding me? CVC, the number 1 seed, has to face Kerman, which took out Taft last week. And I'm trying to think, Washington Union, which is on a roll, is the number 3 seed. It's a really, really good bracket. So that's in D4. Now, moving on to D3, we talked about Tulare Western, Tehachapi already. We all like Tehachapi. South at Memorial. I've changed my tune on South a little bit. I was looking at their season a little more closely. I think this Rebels team is actually better than last year's. Does that mean it'll end differently? They got absolutely hammered by Madera in this round last year going on the road.
I'm not sure they're as good defensively as they were last year. They lost some kids to graduation from there. But if you look at the games they had, putting it down to context, like the Highland game, which we talked about, you and I both covered that game, how good Highland was in that game. So.
And we'll talk about Highland in a minute, but that close victory sort of looks better now than it did.
South's going to do some things to bother San Joaquin Memorial. I think San Joaquin Memorial wins this game.
And that's how Trevor and I both have it, too. I have 31-17. He's got 35-21, both by 2 TDs.
We'll be wrong. I'd like to see the Rebs get there, but
And here's my thought on it. San Joaquin Memorial has been playing in the CMAC. They've been playing Edison, Bullard, Sanger, Madera South. Really good teams. And South... God bless them, but the SEYL is just not very good. Yep. And so they haven't seen a team the caliber of Memorial maybe since they played Chavez back in week 1, maybe not at all. And that's a problem for me. The first quarter could be tough adjusting to that level of play, and it's possible that's the difference in the game. So winner there gets the winner of Tulare Western and Tehachapi, by the way. Other half of the bracket, the number 1 seed is Hanford. They face Kingsburg. There's Tulare Western and Tehachapi. Well, like Tehachapi, that should be a good one, though. I like that game. There. So Hanford plays Kingsburg, and the winner plays the Upstart Bowl, Highland and Golden Valley. Now, I am going to posit to you that this may be the most important game in Highland's 45-year football history. I don't think they've ever made a section semifinal. I have to check that fact with Bob Barnett. But I don't think Highland has. Golden Valley has made 1. Now, they haven't been around as long. They made the semifinals in D3 in 2006 and lost. There's a chance for them to get back to the semifinals. So it could be the biggest game in Highland football history. It's one of the 2 or 3 biggest games in Golden Valley football history. This is a big deal for these schools.
Well, Highland, I think has the momentum going into this thing with the big win over Bakersfield Christian, and a game where they really dominated them. Bakersfield Christian. Bakersfield Christian had its chances. They turned the ball over 5 times in that game. But and the is going into this game. Highland is so physical. And let me tell you right now, of all the performances I've seen this year, Chance Cooper's performance in that game last week against Bakersfield Christian was the singularly best individual performance I've seen this season.
And he's got a metal plate in his hand.
Yeah.
He broke it during the season and didn't even leave.
Up, you know? Yeah. But he carried the ball 34 times, Zach, against Bakersfield Christian. He played literally every down on defense. He punted. He kicked the extra points.
Can he be ready 7 days later? I mean, he's still sore, right?
He was, I think, ready after the game. He was so fired up that it was really, really something to see. And it wasn't like, I guess the one thing we will say about this is that it wasn't like he had the big carries. Okay, he had some very, very violent runs, 5 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 7 yards. But man, he was effective.
Just moving the change. So having said that, Trevor likes Highland by 2 touchdowns. I think this is going to be a very close game.
This is going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, Golden Valley. By the way, beating Fresno High. Fresno High was 9-1. I mean, that was a really good win on the road for Golden Valley, 35-33. So they're rolling right now too. You got to like Tyler Waters at quarterback. He's got a lot more experience than Zeke Arambola does for Highland. I'm going to be at this game. I've got Highland, but I'm not real sure about it. I've got the Scots 23-21 to make the first semifinal in school history.
I think that's a pretty safe pick, man. I think it's a 2-point game. I think it's tight. They might have a little bit more scoring than that because you never know what's going to happen, but it's going to be really tough. Highland, I think, is pretty good defensively too. They're opportunistic. They can get into some long drives here. We'll see what happens.
And to think one of these two teams is going to make the semifinals against either Hanford or Kingsburg and have a chance to make a D3 championship game. That is really cool for these two schools. Moving into Division II, Garces at Sanger. Now, Garces, no stranger to facing really good teams. The problem for the Rams, they haven't beat any of those really good teams. They're playing better than they were early in the year. Do they have enough to go up to Sanger and win? I just don't see it.
Sanger.
I have 34-10, Trevor, 35-14. I'm sure you're around the same ballpark, 3 touchdowns or so. Sanger looks really good.
Sanger's one loss against this season?
They lost to Lemoore, whom they would probably face in the semifinals if Lemoore beats El Diamante.
Okay.
In the other half of the D2 bracket, you have Sunnyside going to Tulare Union. Tulare Union supposedly still without Romello Harris, their stud running back. And Ridgeview is facing West High, an SYL rematch. The first meeting between the two teams, West actually hung around for a half before Ridgeview kind of ran him out of the building. I think it could be similar to that.
Until they ran up like 49 unanswered points.
Exactly. I think it could be something similar to that. West hangs around for a little while. Too many weapons.
I think Ridgeview's going to be ready to go.
Too many weapons for the Wolfpack. And I think we thought all year long Division II had 4 really good teams and then a big gap. I think it'll be surprising if it's not Ridgeview, Lemoore, Sanger, and then Tulare Union without Harris.
What do the Rays Neaters have them at? Like ranked 5th now in the section?
Tulare Union, they're a little bit vulnerable against Sunnyside without Romello Harris. We'll see about that one, but the winner of that will face likely Ridgeview, looking for 11-0, the only undefeated team in the Central section. Division I. Only local game, Central at Liberty. We had the Patriots in here earlier in the show. They looked pretty confident. Central's 4-7, probably better than that record looks. Liberty's probably better than its 6-3 record looks. Central's got a lot of talent. I don't think they match up in the trenches, Lewis.
I think Liberty is looking forward to this game, and because of what happened earlier in the season.
Didn't get to play the game. We talked about that.
Didn't get to play that game. They did all his efforts. They're going to be fired up. I think Liberty's been playing some great football. They're so well coached right now. They seem to resolve their problems they had earlier in the season where, if you think about it, if they don't turn the ball over as much as they did earlier in the year, or
if Jordan Love's healthy.
They
could be 9-1 with a loss to Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
And even that game was not, had they played a little bit better in the first half, they could have been there at the end of that game as well. And we all know Mission Viejo, one of the best teams in the state.
Every team that they've played is still alive in the playoffs that they lost to. So
Right. So we think Liberty marches on. I honestly think of the top 4 seeds in Division I, Liberty has the best matchup this week. Number 1 Clovis has to face Edison.
Right.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Edison shut down BHS. They took Bullard down to the wire 2 weeks ago. They beat Clovis in last year's playoffs after falling behind 14-0. This is obviously a much different team. Do they have the goods to take down Clovis?
Yes. This is a very parity-filled division. I mean, the one thing about Clovis up front is that you look at the guys they have that are key contributors, the guys who are wrestlers as well. I mean, they're very physical. We've seen that all season. They're loads up front. But can they be beaten? I mean, we watched Centennial nearly beat them.
Centennial
should have beaten them.
Stockdale had him down after 3 quarters.
Exactly. So, I mean, this team might be a second or third place team in the SWIL, which wasn't quite really that great this year in the overall scheme of things. But we'll see. I think I would give Edison a little bit of a nod there.
Edison obviously has the athletes, J.J. Wills and Colton Velasquez, Clovis, 2 terrific receivers. If you blanket those weapons, can Sean Kunzinger, the quarterback, find other ways to go? Because that passing game makes the Cougars go.
I mean, the one thing about the Cougars though that I do love is that those wrestlers, Hockett and Neville's kid up front. Oh my God, they're loads.
Yeah.
Loads, I tell you. John Farron, they're loads.
To me, I think that's why Clovis wins this game. Yeah. But it's going to be a challenge. Quickly through the other quarterfinals, the winner of the Clovis-Edison matchup gets the winner of Clovis North and Buchanan. Here's why I like Clovis North, the 5 seed, to beat Buchanan, the 4. They played 2 weeks ago, went back and forth, and Clovis North ends up losing 31-28. Well, guess what? It's really tough to do that 2 times in a row. Clovis North had to play Clovis East last week, but Buchanan didn't play, and it's really tough to beat a good team 2 weeks in a row in close games like that, or two times in a row. And so I think Clovis North gets it done and moves on to the semifinals. And then the winner of Liberty Central, which we think will be Liberty, faces the winner of a really intriguing quarterfinal. I want to get your thoughts on this one, Bullard and Clovis West.
That's a tight one to call.
I think Bullard was.
Historically, you would pick you've been liking Bullard all season. So.
I will tell you this: in the middle of the season, say weeks 3 through 7, I think Bullard was playing better than anybody in the section. Yeah. I think if you had hosted the Valley title game against anybody, Clovis, Liberty, take your pick, Ridgeview, I think Bullard wins the game if you're looking at like weeks 5 or 6. But they've slipped a little bit. They lost to Sanger. Now I know Sanger's good. Mm-hmm. Edison took them down to the wire in week 10. I don't know if there's injuries going on, if they just are not playing their best ball. Clovis West has a bunch of sophomore starters. They've got Caleb Kelly, the terrific linebacker. They've got Darian Owens, the terrific receiver. I kind of like Clovis West in an upset here. I just feel like they're on the rise while Bullard has stagnated a little bit. And I would have said that was crazy. And really, in week 4, they played, and Clovis West won the game by 20 points. But I kind of like Clovis West as my upset pick of the week to move on and face Liberty in the semifinals. So we shall see what happens. 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Where are you going to be on Friday night?
I don't know
yet. You're going to be shooting video somewhere. Trevor will have video of Central and Liberty. We'll have video of Ridgeview and West. We got it all for you. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and, of course, on Bakersfield.com. And then volleyball finals all day Saturday. For John Farron, our producer, our thanks to Liberty Volleyball and Football for stopping by. He's Louis Amistoy. I'm Zach Ewing. This has been BVarsity Live.
Looking deep down the left side, Mendeville into the end zone, touchdown!